Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down. Today we're going to be talking about The Last of Us series. You know, listen, as of late, we've been talking about all kinds of IPs that have been just absolutely tarnished. I mean, we're talking about Scooby-Doo with Velma. We're talking about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So I thought it would be good to let's take time to talk about something that actually was good and actually did the IP justice. I think that The Last of Us, the series, is a prime example of how doing adaptation is done correctly. You know, we've even talked about Junji Ito's adaptations, and that's a perfect example of another thing that is a literal translation gone absolutely wrong. So, I don't know, what makes Last of Us so good? Well, that's what we're gonna get into. I mean, for starters, it's a video game show. Think about the amount of video game movies or shows that have come out that have been absolutely terrible. And let me tell you, it's like almost all of them, 99%. I think there's like a very short list of good adaptations. I mean, I don't know, let's go down memory lane, how about we? The Resident Evil movies from 2002 up until, like, I don't know, the fucking franchise lasted for 40 years. It was unbelievable. It had like some of the characters lobbed in, but it had nothing to do with really the games or anything. It could pretty much just put Mila Jovovich, whatever the fuck her name is, whatever Russian name that is, and just threw the Umbrella logo up on stuff, and that was the extent of it. Then you have the Warcraft movie, the Assassin's Creed movie. Remember the Uncharted movie that came out last year? Sure you don't. Nobody does. Did you remember that Mark Wahlberg was in it? Sure you don't. Nobody does. Remember that Tom Holland looked like a 6-year-old boy compared to the actual character? Sure you do. It was ridiculous. Prince of Persia, 2010, Jesus Christ, I forgot. Jake Gyllenhaal, my God. 37%, pretty good. Yeah, good for you, Jake. And of course, how could we ever forget, and I forgot about it until I just saw this list, Lara Croft Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. My God. The list is just staggering, which is just like, it's so easy to take interactive experiences. I mean, I know I said this in my Five Nights at Freddy video, but my biggest skepticism with even the Five Nights at Freddy movie is how are they going to translate the gameplay into story and make it something that's compelling for, like, you know, a movie. That's the hardest thing that anybody has to do. And I mean, even to call back again, the Doom movie, Doom is just a guy shooting demons. And in the Doom movie, like, there was like that 1 60-second sequence at the end where it was first person and it was really fun. And you kind of just scratched your head after leaving it and you were like, why didn't they just do that the whole time? That was fun. But luckily, The Last of Us succeeds on multiple levels, and it's glorious. But you know, what is The Last of Us? Is it a best-selling game? Yeah. Has it been HBO's most watched show ever? Yeah. But the story itself is pretty simple. I mean, it's like a pretty standard post-apocalyptic story. Instead of zombies, you have mushroom people, which even that, I'm just like, what the that sounds so fucking lame, but it works beautifully. And I think that it has all these elements that are just so, they cater to the video game. I mean, obviously it's coming from a video game, but I mean, like, one of the best things that comes out of The Last of Us, even in the video game, is the writing. And that's one thing that translates beautifully. And it's the first reason of why the show is so good. The show is written by Craig Mazin, who is a phenomenal writer. Okay? You ever heard a little show called Chernobyl? Probably not, because it's good and it doesn't have memeability value, because it's very sad and it talks about a very horrible, tragic event. But you know what? If you want to cry for 6 hours, then feel free to tune into that, because it's beautifully written. It takes the elements of what makes adaptation so important in a game, which is, how do you keep the things that people really love in a game, but how do you expand on ideas that maybe a video game can't give you? Also, spoilers! In the show, the story is able to do things that maybe you couldn't do in a traditional video game. Hence, jumps back in time. You know, nobody wants to sit there and have to go through and just walk around as a character. What the fuck is, like, Batman Arkham City or whatever, where you're just like walking around watching Batman talk? It's so boring. So to have all these like layers of story in a game, I feel like would be too distracting. It wouldn't push it on far enough, and I think that people would get bored and want to just skip it anyways. So the show is able to do these time jumps and have, you know, more insight into some of the lore or some of even just the world building that the games just couldn't do. A couple examples. In the finale of the show, I'm jumping right to the end, huh? In the finale of the show, we go back and we get to see Ellie's mom, which, guess what? Side note, it's the voice actor who actually played Ellie in the video game. And you got to have a bit more of the complexities of a mother and a daughter relationship, those complexities of, you know, seeing somebody that's no longer around, that kind of pain that brings with. And to also introduce it at the ending of the show kind of makes you reconsider maybe everything you thought of the character so far. It's just a really fun and intricate way of adding these little moments into the story. Another one too is at the very beginning of the show, we are introduced with just like a little layer of, you know, exposition. It's just a little introduction of information of how the whole thing started, which in the game, you're kind of just thrown into this post-apocalyptic world. In the show, you get to have just a little talk show where it's just little rumors of a fungal virus that's going around that, you know, could potentially affect the whole world.
Fungus.
Newsflash, it does. So you get that little interesting moment, and then it pushes ourselves perfectly into Joel's backstory. And it's just like a very seamless way of introducing these new things at the beginning of that film, just experiencing this whole chaos that's all been stemming from this. It's the best of both worlds. People who have played both games get a newfound appreciation from just a little bit of new lore right off the bat with something that's already familiar, while people who are completely absent of the story, have no idea, have never heard of it, are completely understanding of what's the stakes, who is this character, what did he lose, what does he have to gain, and it's just all laid out beautifully right in front of us. It's so many chef kisses. You're gonna be calling my Chef Boyardee by the end of the night. And while Craig is writing for the show as well, they still have the original game creator, director, and story writer Neil Druckmann, who's also lending his voice to this project too, which I don't think a lot of shows really do, even especially movies. Like, that's just something that, you know, they get an IP, they're like, what's this IP? What's it called? It's called Jackson Daxter. It's about a fucking raccoon and like a fish guy. Okay. And they just take it, they don't give a shit about anything. There's no fish guy. It's mostly just two squirrel men. It's about two squirrel men who make love and they race cars. Can we get Jack Black? Can Jack Black be involved? That's pretty much what happens with these things. Today's video is sponsored by the ever-enticing and ever-romantic Bad Dragon. This is for mommy and daddy, so if you're not a mommy or daddy, then scoot on, little one. This one's not for you. If you guys are looking for any way to spice up the bedroom or think of ways to give yourself a little gift, right? Hey, Christmas doesn't only come once or twice a year. It comes whenever you want to buy one of these and put it in your hole. And let me tell you, with the product here, no lube even required, I don't think. This thing is slick. It's like a seal's back. Bad Dragon has been an amazing, amazing sponsor of this channel. They have been the I'm not even a joke, the coolest brand to work with. Everyone that works at that place, we got to visit it, is just so cool. All the employees are amazing, and they have given us so much freedom and opportunities with sponsoring our channel. So we just want to say thank you to Bad Dragon. And seriously, please, if you're in the market for a little something, you know what I'm talking about? Hey, wink. Check out Bad Dragon. You will not be disappointed by the quality. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. So thank you, Bad Dragon. I love you. I love you so much. Put this in your hole. So it's cool that they're actually getting the creative input from the guy who conceived the whole fucking project, and it actually cares about it. I think that actually shows how that blends in together with some of these shots that are just one-for-one recreations of the game, where I think that people who have played the game, it's just like a little cherry on top that the people who have never played these games and are just experiencing it for the first time would never even know. But it's not distracting in any way. It's just like little tiny things that just, you know, they pull down your pants a little bit and they're just fluffing you up. You're not trying to blow quite yet, but you're getting fluffed up and it feels good. Next up, we have the atmosphere of the show. God damn, I bet people on this channel love what I say. I say atmosphere more than anything. It's just so important though, you have to understand. And The Last of Us gets atmosphere done so right. It's just, it's done so well. There's so much beauty in this post-apocalyptic world and it's all perceived through the eyes of these characters, through the stories they tell, through the experiences they have. It's little glimpses of humanity in this like completely desolate landscape that just makes the show so warm and inviting at moments that it's just incredibly wholesome to such a degree that is so feel good at times. And it also amplifies the times when shit goes wrong and you have your heart break over and over again, but it doesn't mean it's just a small little message. And I know this is gonna sound like the back of a Disney VHS tape, but it just goes to show that there's just a little bit of humanity in such a bad world. And I think that's important. Seeing stuff through the lens of Ellie, who hasn't been outside of this, this walled off city for so long, and you get to experience her driving in a car for the first time, or when she sees airplane on the side of the road, or just little kind of moments, human moments that Joel gets to educate her on, and it just like builds this beautiful relationship. And then there's moments where Ellie sees wildlife, or we have a beautiful setup to where they go into a gas station and you hear her talk about a Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet, and she really wants to play it. She heard so much about it, and then later on we get to see her in a mall, and she gets to experience that for the first time. And it's like, oddly enough, it's like you feel so personal with these characters, with how they're written, and how it's like you just feel so happy for their achievements and like the small victories that are had. That's one thing that's true about the adaptation from the game to the show, is that the show really captures the wide open nature of these landscapes, like these buildings. The sets are just amazing. Like being inside these large buildings with huge flooded floors, or toppled over buildings, and just all kinds, highways with just cars full pushed across. I mean, it's so wide open, and it feels very reminiscent of the game, which is, I'm gonna burp. Acid reflux. Ugh. Which is just, it's an interesting translation to the show, because there's so many times where in video games it's like they don't really even like kind of try to get the vibe right with the environment that you're in, that like people have grown to love to play in. A lot of the times the creators of these movies or shows are just like, just put them in a temple. What kind of temple? Whatever's on the Universal lot, we're just gonna shoot on it. Probably the best atmosphere in the show, and one of my favorite set pieces is on episode 3 with Nick Offerman, is a man who, he's happy that everyone died on Earth, and it's very much like the typical Nick Offerman character of like a grumpy man, hates the government, blah blah blah, oh, I'm grumpy, and it's very much representative of his Parks and Rec character. But he ends up meeting a man that he saves, and then it's basically like just a tragically beautiful 45-minute movie about two men falling in love and having like probably the best 20 years of their life. And it doesn't end in a way, there's moments where there's trials and tribulations, but not with them in a way that's like cliche or stupid. It's like them defending themselves against raiders, and then also like later on in their life, the guy, he just can't walk and he's old, and it crescendos with them like basically KYSing themselves. But it's like, it's not sad or tragic. It's like beautiful. It's like inspiring. They got to go out on their own terms in this like horrible, horrible world. They got to build a paradise. They got to meet friends. And it's just like such a beautiful way to introduce characters that like don't add a lot to the lore and the story of the game. That is just a beautiful translation of just a little piece of something that you would have never gotten in the game. And it's just, that within itself could have been its own movie. And I was like fucking tearing up by the end of it. It was just so good. And like I said, Nick Offerman is amazing, but also Murray Bartlett, who I've seen in White Lotus. He's also in the Chippendale show. Been pretty heavily typecasted as the gay character in all these shows, but his range, I think, I can't wait to see what else he does, because his range is just so incredible. I mean, like the raw emotion that you get out of his character and the acting is just breathtaking. It's honestly unbelievable, and it makes Nick Offerman's cold demeanor just like really melt away, and you like, I think it just helps elevate Nick Offerman's performance. I know that he's like kind of the bigger name, but man, that guy, he just killed it. It just was such a beautiful episode. I almost wanted to stop watching the episode or the show after that, because I was like, I just am obsessed with these characters. But it's just a little piece of a larger journey that is just awesome. Very wonderful. And it was funny because on Twitter, I saw people were saying like, oh, this is so sad. But it was funny that Neil Druckmann, the creator and director of the game, was like, oh, that's the happy episode. And I think he's right. I mean, like when I saw people say that stuff, I was like, in what world is having spending 20 years of your life being able to like create your paradise and like be with somebody that you truly love? How is that hell on earth? But you know what? I think all the men at home who are married would probably think it's hell. Right, fellas? Hey, never a day off when you're married, huh? But another thing that they do right in the show is the practical effects. That adds to the atmosphere so much. I mean, it's the makeup is done extremely well, and they don't overuse the clickers a lot. You know, in all these zombie shows and stuff, they're just like, throw them at them. It's just never ending. But whenever a clicker shows up, it really does have this weight. It's like the designs are always extremely inspired, and like all the, oh God, when they show up and they see a body that's like basically glued to a wall, it shows the importance of like why practical effects are just so good. If you CGI'd any of this stuff, it would just take out all of the merit and the charm and like being able to see that texture of like the mushroom on people and actually being able to interact with it. It's just like, it's just really well done, and it adds so much to the show. I mean, even the sound effects of the clickers are great. They don't go over the top. They don't deviate from that. Sometimes shows do that. It's odd. You already have an iconic sound. Why the fuck would you change it? It makes no sense. So they do a great job with the sound design of the clickers themselves, the monsters, like how they interact with the environment, how they're melded with the environment. And it just, it makes so many of these shots that also look very beautiful, like really rich colors from all this overgrown grass and light trickling in. It makes them very like beautifully haunting. It's just really cool. It's a very cool feeling. And also, just to add to the atmosphere again, is just the addition of like the flamenco kind of guitar that they have in the game. But also it does a kind of thing too that I thought was interesting, that No Country for Old Men, which No Country for Old Men, they don't have any music. It's just wind. But I think that The Last of Us utilizes that too. It's not throwing tons of like orchestral chords at you. It's kind of just letting you exist in the environment that you're in and kind of like soak in the kind of like emptiness of the environment. And by not having tons of music, you really get to like linger with that. And I think that's it adds a lot. And like what's inherently different about the show is that there's not a lot different about the game in the show. I think that and it's not lazy, it's just that they kept all the parts that people loved about the game, and they introduced new pieces of information and new little moments that make the characters more human and really like are beneficial to a show medium. Like the show and the game are two completely different visual experiences. You're playing with, in the game, you're experiencing it yourself, so you have to be presented this information in a good way. It isn't just a cutscene either. It's a full-fledged thing that you're being submersed in, and like you're sitting back and enjoying and like letting the director guide you versus you guiding yourself through the game. And I think that that's just one thing that's like it's just a simple thing of like what's the difference is that they kept all the good shit and they only added more good shit. That's the biggest difference. Like with, God, what's even like, think of any video game movie you've seen, and what did they actually add to the universe of the game that you've played? Or like, what have they actually done to make it like a new experience that feels like it serves the original IP? And the answer a lot of time is nothing. I mean, like nothing. It's just a cash grab. It's just a way to funnel in fans to sell tickets, which is all good and fun, right? Who doesn't like Resident Evil 2 Apocalypse? Right? I used to draw Nemesis when I was a kid. I thought that it was cool. But going back on it, I want to stab myself in the stomach. And then also, lastly, the character performances. First off, my God, you know what's cringy? Seeing all the people having seizures over Pedro Pascal online.
I call Pedro Pascal a DILF and think he's my cool, slutty father. Yep.
Okay, we get it. He's a good-looking guy, whatever. I think it like made me a bit biased going into the show because I was like, oh God, Pedro Pascal, really? Like, yeah, he's okay in Narcos, right? I mean, like honestly, I saw a couple. I mean, it's fine. It's not like he's not bad in it, but I wasn't blown away. That dude is awesome. Okay, Pedro's performance is just like amazing. It's like he's very cold and he's very like decisive, and he's like, you can tell he's just like a bad motherfucker you don't want to mess with.
Unhook her.
How did you get in here?
I said unhook her.
I won't let you take her.
But in the same way, too, he's also very caring in a distant way, kind of like a Kratos-esque character, where it's like, except with Kratos is just like a big autistic kind of like god. Pedro is a man who's been hurt, and I think that he is surviving to survive, and he hasn't had a real means of like having something to protect. And when he finds that in Ellie in the show, you can see that old side of him from the first episode where he's like, just a lovely dad, and it's just very sweet and like a very nice episode. You see that like slowly come back. I wouldn't say that it's fully come back by the end, but you can see that relationship really slowly build over time. And it's done just so brilliantly by Pedro Pascal. I mean, honestly. Good for you. And then Bella Ramsey, I was kind of lukewarm on her for the first couple episodes. It wasn't even that she was bad. I was just like, I don't really know if she's pulling off the whole like, I'm a loner. I don't care about anything. You can shut up and suck my... But by the end of the series, And after like really Joel and her start like bonding through this whole series, she just fits this role so well. I think that like she really becomes more likable, and she still has those attributes from earlier on in the show, but it just feels more realized, and it feels like she's like really, I feel like, started to get her groove. I don't know when, obviously, the filming process, but for me, it just like the characters just really like started to sync up like episode 4. I was like, okay. So it's like, it has nothing. I just wanted to say, like, if you start watching the show and you're like, I don't know, I think just like sit with it, because both of them together are very, very good. And I think that, I don't know, I appreciate both of their performances very much so. And like I said too, like, I mean, so many of these side characters like Nick Offerman, or, you know, the woman who plays Tess, she was also in Mindhunter and stuff. It's just like these little performances that go a long way. And it's just, it seemed like everybody just had a very tight performance. I think that like the script was just there, and the direction was there, and it was just like, it felt like an easy translation, which is just great to see. Because as much as I love seeing Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, doesn't really come close to Pedro Pascal as Joel. You know what I mean? I know what you guys are thinking. Well, what about Angelina Jolie as Laura Croft? It's going to be a shocker, but I think that The Last of Us outshines it just a little bit. It's going to be so funny seeing comments about people being like, there's a Tomb Raider movie, and it's like, not only is there a Tomb Raider movie, there's 2 of them. In conclusion, the show is, I mean, like, the utmost perfect example, in my opinion. I loved it, first off. I was blown away by it. I am a very skeptical, doughy bitch. I just, like, I want to hate things. It's a flawed nature of mine. I know I see comments too. People are like, does he just love to hate things? It's Sylvester Stallone. But I will say, I was so blown away and refreshed by how good this show was. And it didn't hold any weight of feeling like it was like trying to just like be this money grab, or it wasn't just trying to be like only for the fans. It just felt like a beautifully written show, and I'm super stoked to see where this show goes. I mean, the most boring parts of the show are when the fungus guys are attacking and we're having those kind of things. Every time that we were with the characters just talking and like building this relationship in this world, I found that I was just so intrigued. And that doesn't put anything down on, like, you know, having the fun fungus and, you know, fights and all that kind of shit, as if they're throwing mushrooms at each other. But it's just like, that's all good and fun, but like the writing is just so good, the acting is so good, the world is so well thought out, that the show couldn't have any of that. And if there wasn't even like a zombie thing and it was just about people trying to survive, it would be awesome still. It's just like a beautiful, disgusting mushroom cherry on top that we get to have this monster element that like elevates the show into, you know, not just like another kind of post-apocalyptic show. It helps give its own identity by doing that, and I think that's really important. I think that this is going to be a good trajectory for shows moving forward, of like you treating it seriously and not just, you know, it isn't just a money grab. I think Arcane also did that really well. I know people are like, oh, League of Legends. Arcane seemed to be a brilliant show where it's like, I don't really give a fuck about League of Legends lore, but it's like, it makes you care. It's like, it's good writing. And when good writing shines through, the shows shine through, the performances shine through, everything. You appreciate every aspect of a show, and that's what makes diehard fans. It's just that beautiful, beautiful writing. So in conclusion, check it out. It's a complete home run. I love this show. Looking forward to season 2. I mean, the weakest episode is the last episode. And I wouldn't say, and it's not even that it's weak, it's just that it's like, I think it's setting things up for the sequel. I think it's just one of those things where you maybe wanted more. Now you're an impatient little prick. You know? That's me. I called you that? Yeah, fuck you. If you're watching this right now, fuck you. And it makes me kind of want to play the games again, so I don't know. All in all, smash hit. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Would I say it's the perfect show? I mean, come on. Who's perfect, right? 9 out of 10 is fucking amazing. It's a great score, right? 9.5. Give it a 9.5. I can't say I don't even think I've seen a perfect show. There's no such thing as a perfect. There's no 10 out of 10. It's a 9.5. 9.75. I'm not giving any more points. That's it. 9.5. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, watch the show. Pedro Pascal, please be my dad. I love you. Bye. People are going to be pissed when they realize I've never played the games. Yeah. Yeah.